1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good morning. On behalf of Mayor Burnby and the City of Canton, I want to thank each of you for being here today. I would first like to recognize Chief Bruce Laver, City of Canton, U.S. Attorney Justin Herdman, ATF Special Agent in Charge Walton, Special FBI Agent in Charge Ted Krajek, Special Stark County Prosecutor John Ferrero, and all the members of the media. Due to the commitment and the cooperation that exists between the Canton Police Department and our federal law enforcement partners, we continue to show that violence will not be tolerated in our community. Today marks another day of collaboration and our commitment against violence in the City of Canton. I would like to now bring Chief Bruce Laver to the podium.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I just wanted to briefly state how important this type of investigation and operation is to the City of Canton. Truly, these are the type of cases, as you see before us, the weapons and those arrested. You can measure this in human lives. Like so many other places in our nation, you know, we still enjoy some of the lowest amounts of overall violent crime. However, such as other places, still we see the homicide rate increasing, which unfortunately we have experienced this year also. These are the type of cases that will have a direct impact. Illegal firearms, illegal possession of firearms, sales of firearms. These are the weapons that get on our streets and cause these type of crimes and the loss of life. And we are very thankful to our to the ATF, the FBI, our participation together in the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, and also our partner in the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. For actual details on the federal indictment, I'll bring up and introduce U.S. Attorney Justin Herdman.
Thank you, Chief. I want to start off by thanking our men and women in law enforcement, our Canton Police Department officers, ATF agents and FBI agents who've been out very early this morning, making arrests and completing this case for us. So thank you to all of you. And you know, this is here. We're all here today to announce the 7 federal indictments of 11 individuals, and they're all charged with a variety of firearms offenses. There's Andre Bowers, who is charged with illegal firearms trafficking, among other charges. Kamari Kidd and Tavante Miles are charged with aiding and abetting illegal sale of firearms. Andre Bowers was engaged in the illegal sale of firearms, including shotguns, rifles, revolvers, and pistols. He's got a long list of crimes that he's been convicted of in the past: aggravated assault, drug trafficking, domestic violence, just to name a few. In another case, an individual named Thomas Lorenz illegally sold a machine gun to Jesse Gully and Akasha Clark. And Gully, earlier this year, he possessed that machine gun. He also had a sawed-off shotgun and 6 other firearms. And this is all despite Gully's convictions for felonious assault and cocaine possession in the past. So just like the chief said, cases like this are an exercise in homicide prevention. These people have demonstrated that they cannot be trusted to possess or own firearms, and they have no legal right to those firearms. There's just simply too many guns on our streets in the hands of people who cannot have them. And we know from experience that targeted, aggressive enforcement of federal firearms laws can and will save lives and reduce violent crime. It's worked in other cities across the country, it's worked in other cities in Ohio, and it's going to work here in Canton. I will now turn it over to the ATF, the Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Kyle Walton, for details on this morning's operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. This investigation is a great example of the excellent partnership and relationship that ATF has with the Canton Police Department, FBI, and Stark County. Taking these guns off the street is making our communities safer for all of us. In connection with this investigation, we executed multiple federal arrest warrants. We have all in custody except for one individual, and we're asking for the public's help and helping us to locate Mr. Shantez Block right here. And anybody who has information on Mr. Block's whereabouts, please call the ATF 1-800-GUNS tip line or the Stark County tip 411 hotline. And we just want to emphasize the great partnership we have together to make our communities a better place to live for all of us. Now I'll turn it over to the FBI. WAC.
Good morning. Just wanted to echo what my colleagues have said already. As you can see here, today was a good day for the men and women of law enforcement. A lot of weapons off the street. Clearly, lives were saved as a result of this investigation. As I've said before, the FBI doesn't do anything alone, and this wouldn't have been possible without our partnerships with ATF and the commitment of Canton Police Department on our Safe Streets Task Force. So all in all, today was a good day, and we're just happy to be part of the greater law enforcement team. Thank you.
Good morning. As everybody can see at the table of these weapons, these aren't weapons that are used to hunt deer or rabbit or anything like that. These are weapons that are used to intimidate our citizens of Stark County, to hurt them and to kill them. And I personally want to thank the Canton Police Department, ATF, FBI, and also the U.S. Attorney's Office for the great work here, and we appreciate it. It helps us to make our community a little bit safer. We have ways to go yet, but this is a start. Thank you.
Go open for Q&A, if anybody has questions.
Can someone on the federal level discuss any connection between what's going on in Cleveland and Euclid with the drug raid that happened? If there's not a connection, just kind of explain what's going on with that case as well while we have you.
Yeah, there's no connection between the two cases. What's been charged up in Cleveland are two separate drug indictments, about 26 individuals. Drug conspiracy to distribute cocaine, fentanyl, heroin, and a drug called Molly as well, but no relation to this operation.
Nothing with, these guys have drug charges too, some of them, right?
Right, but there's no overlap between these two cases, no.
Can you talk, were any of these weapons used in any crimes that you know of, or did you just find them when you showed up this morning at the various locations? And how did it go this morning? How to explain the process of the raids?
I'll let either Chief Lawver or ATF handle that one.
Okay.
At this time, we have no connection to prior crimes. Of course, the investigation is still ongoing. And, actually what we do here is a continual thing, with the task force. What was the second part?
Can you explain the process of how these raids went down, how
Well,
you do them?
from my understanding, this investigation's been, I think it was initiated near the beginning of this year. So it's been a long investigatory process. I think possibly you can explain more about the federal indictment process, if that's what you...
No, I mean, how is it working? You guys are knocking on, just to kind of take me into what it was like out in the field. You guys are knocking on doors in the middle of the night,
It started very early this morning. And of course, they develop intelligence as far as location, in place. And luckily, as far as been advised so far, it was without incident. Nobody was injured as far as I know at this point, and no officers or agents were injured taking anybody into custody.
Chief, while you're there, does Canton participate in gun buyback? I mean, this looks like a good dent, but have you guys considered that, or do you do it currently?
Well, we've had years ago. That's kind of a whole nother thing on which we could discuss separately. Yeah.
How many locations then?
I believe 11? From my understanding, 11 locations.
Guns found in every one of those locations?
At this point, I don't know. But apparently, yeah, there was a lot of guns found on multiple locations. That would be safe to say. So.
And these folks are related? Some of them related? Connections?
Yeah, from my understanding, there is some interrelation among some of them.
Chief, while you're there, can you talk about that? I think we talked earlier, there's 16 homicides in Canton
Yes.
this year, which ties a record. Can you kind of go
Yes.
into the violent year that Canton has seen and why something like this could maybe ease some calm?
Well, certainly. I mean, and I think you're seeing this, across the nation, and it can be, somewhat frustrating because what we see overall, our violent crimes still staying at historical lows. Felonious assaults, other forms of violent crime. But however, homicide it's unique in itself. And there are so many variables that will go into what the making up of a homicide and a homicide rate. And that's why actually these type of cases are so important, because these are the guns and these are the individuals that are putting that violence, that capability to take someone's life on the street. So homicide, it's a very difficult thing to be proactive and preventative. And however, I think this is very much a proactive and preventative step. For example, in 2011, we realized our very lowest homicide rate in the city of Canton with only 2. No, that's 2010. The very next year, 2011, we had 16, which is our highest level. So that's kind of a whole, I guess, discussion, academia and everything's relating, which would take a lot of time.
Mr. Herdman, would you be able to talk about, are there key ringleaders and all that? You mentioned a couple of names. Is this Lawrence guy a main operator of this, or Bowers?
The indictments are basically divided up into what I would call 2 different categories. One relates to illegal firearms trafficking, so that's going to be Mr. Bowers primarily and Mr. Lawrence primarily. The method that they use to actually sell guns and get them on the street. The rest are people who possessed firearms in the course of some of those illegal firearm sales or were otherwise connected with these groups here in terms of purchasing or possessing firearms.
So those 2 guys are like the distributors. They're the ones selling, trafficking.
When you read the indictment, it'll become clear that those are the people that are involved in the trafficking aspect of this, yeah.
And you said the method by which they were doing it. Can you explain the method by how they were doing it?
These are firearm sales that occurred in a variety of different ways. I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but these are precisely the kind of individuals that we're always looking for in our largest cities to figure out how the guns are ending up on the street. And there are a number of techniques. Again, I won't get into them. Some of them are still sensitive to law enforcement, but a number of techniques to work your way back up the chain and figure out who's actually supplying the firearms and how they're ending up, where they're ending up.
And did all 11? Is it 11?
Yeah.
All of them have prior records that would prohibit them from the right to
I believe that's the case, yes.
all 11?
I believe so. I'm right.
Ms. Kidd does not.
Okay, there's one individual, Kamari Kidd and Akasha Clark, do not have prior convictions.
Question for the chief again. This obviously represents a big take for law enforcement. When you arrest people throughout the year for serious crimes, and a lot of times you'll hear a gun was taken, how much does this represent for the year? Or how many other guns have already been seized this year during arrests for other reasons?
I don't have the exact number, but it is very much a priority. And, the hard work that a patrol officer does and our investigators do, yes, it is always an emphasis, a priority to take those illegal firearms off the street. But yes, this is significant, if that's your...
Yeah, and I was just wondering how many more you might, in a typical year, how much does this represent in total? Like, is it...
I'd be hard pressed to give a percentage
Okay.
or a number, but this is definitely a significant case.
Sure.
Maybe a question for the ATF. How do we know this really makes a difference? We see these kinds of news conferences quite often where we're seeing different agencies come together, they'll spread stuff out and they'll say this is really attacking the drug problem, or this is really attacking the gun problem. How do we know it really makes a difference?
It's easy to say how this makes a difference. One gun in the hand of a person that should not have it, or who uses it unlawfully, or uses it to harm someone else. Getting that one gun off the street is one more person's life that could be saved possibly. And you look at these guns, a variety